facilitator this afternoon. Thank you, Erlnisha, for starting the recording. My pronouns are she and hers. I would like to also introduce Erlnisha, who is behind the scenes or in the scenes. She is our moderator and musical aficionada. So welcome, Erlnisha. She will be watching the chat, throwing some poll questions out to you. And so if you have any real challenges, she and I are your people. So thanks again. We've muted everyone to reduce the background noise. We have closed captioning and other accessibility options available. Thank you for your time, attendance, and anticipated participation. Today's town hall is an opportunity for us to meet in this Zoom room to share information, highlight projects and funding, and engage in conversation. So most importantly, we want to hear from you, the audience, NNL members, partners. We'd love to hear your feedback, your input, your funny stories, a joke if you have one. But there will be multiple times during tonight's town hall that you can provide your input. I said there will be some polls where I'd like to gather some information from you. There's also the chat box, and we will have an open forum for discussion later on. You can always throw questions out, and because we're a small group and we want to be approachable, you could probably even raise your hand and we can invite you into the conversation right away. So without further ado, we really have a great lineup of information, engagement, and entertainment for you. Today, our theme or objective is how to connect you with funding. But first, I am going to start out and introduce a little bit about our team. As you will kind of figure out, the National Institute of, here is our agenda for the afternoon. Welcome and introductions is where we are right now. There'll be a check-in question. Jonathan Pringle will be speaking about grant support. Isaac Cherry about year 2 grant funding. Our own Deborah will be speaking about education, and I will speak about specializations. We have a guest in Michael for All of Us program, and then questions and answers. So it's an ambitious agenda, so stick with us. First of all, I'd love to get into a little bit about the National Institute of Health, which is part of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, which is the nation's top medical research agency, and they make important decisions that improve health and save lives. There, underneath that is the National Library of Medicine, which is the NLM on the Maryland campus of NIH, and the world's largest biomedical library. NLM maintains and makes health information resources available globally. And the NLM also coordinates the network of the National Library of Medicine, the NNLM, which provides access to this health information in communities across the United States. And our office, myself and the team I share this work with, are the NNLM Region 2 headquarters. And so we're based at the Medical University of South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina. So what we do is outreach for the National Library of Medicine, and our office provides education, training, and funding to communities in the Southeast region. We'll talk about those region, which is 6 states and 2 territories. We have a map later on. Our goal is to connect people with trusted health information, and some of the projects we funded are a community-based nutrition series, computer skills for seniors at a public library, as well as combating misinformation about COVID. So you'll learn more about us and membership. It's free. Join us. Right now, I'm going to introduce myself, and then I'm going to popcorn it to my team members. It's going to be a quick introduction, and follow me and I'll popcorn on. My name is Sarah, and I am the Community Engagement and Outreach Strategist, and I am the state liaison for Alabama and South Florida. I would love to popcorn it to Deborah.
Hi, my name is Deborah. I'm the User Experience and Education Strategist, and I am the South Carolina and North Florida liaison. I'd like to popcorn it to Lauren.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Lauren Jackson. I'm the executive director for this team. I use she, her, and they, them pronouns. And I'm the liaison for Mississippi as well as Puerto Rico. I'm going to popcorn it to Earlnisha.
Hello, everyone. My name is Earlnisha. I am the program assistant. I go by the pronouns she, her, hers, and I will popcorn it to Elizabeth.
Hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the research and data science strategist, and I'm also the liaison to Tennessee. And we'll wrap it up with Isaac.
Good afternoon. I'm Isaac Cherry, and I'm the grant administrator and the office manager. And my liaison is the U.S. Virgin Island and Puerto Rico. And also, I work with all the strategists with all the different states to answer all grants-related questions.
Thank you, Isaac.
Thank you.
That's our team. We do have Deanne Brame, who is our tech guru and is missing in action today, but she has helped out in the preparation. As we see, we have these community agreements. It's a little not on my in my script per se as at this point, but I'm going to introduce them, as well as important land acknowledgements. And land acknowledgements are an honest and historically accurate way to recognize Native communities of the land. Presenting land acknowledgements recognizes histories that have been systematically erased. The Native peoples of this region include the Etowah, Kiowa, Santee, Edisto, Nachikuso, and the Wasamasa people. So Region 2 Regional Medical Library recognizes these Native communities of the land on which we live and work here in Charleston, South Carolina. These community agreements are what we always start our meetings with, just to make sure we're on the same page. I will read them out, but please feel free to review them on your own. Throw in the chat if you have any extra special ones you'd like to add for us to think about. The first one's take care of yourself. Please feel free to take breaks and hydrate as well as you need to. I have my mocktail for the afternoon. No one knows everything. Together we know a lot. Let's listen to understand. We make space and take space. Be aware of how much you are speaking, especially if you are speaking a lot. Be mindful to make space for those with quieter voices, especially from marginalized groups. One mic and one voice. Only one person should speak at a time, and speak from your own experiences. Minimize your generalizations, please. Understand the difference between impact and intent. When what you're intending is very important, and often is different from the impact another person feels. Respect confidentiality. What we learn here leaves here. What we say here stays here. So our own version of Vegas. And be curious and respectful. Let's be great listeners and don't blame or shame. So here we're going back to our first poll. Please, Earlnisha, pull it up. I'd love to hear where you are from today. Where are you joining from this afternoon? This is an engaging poll. You can stick your answer in it. If you can see Florida, I got one Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee. Oh, I am not a fast talker, but looks like we've got Florida and South Carolina are neck and neck. Thank you so much. We have 21 seconds left, and I like to see the blue lines grow. Great, thank you so much. Let's end this one. And we have one more question to start this out. Here's the second poll is what type of organization are you representing today? How about that poll, Earl Nisha?
Some people already answered. It was shared with the first one altogether. The answers.
Thank you so much for moderating that and tell me how we're doing. So
You
we
were-
see South Carolina has the largest presentation today. We're happy to have that's home state where we are. So here's that where you're joining us from. Again, good. We'll not go to this poll again. We might have a little hiccup.
It's below. If you scroll below,
Oh,
the second
thanks.
question. Yeah.
Ah. Thank you so much. There we go. Academic institutions 100% right now. No one else from anywhere else. No public health, no public library. There you go, healthcare. Okay, well, thank you so much. Looks like we have a huge following from academic institutions, and we're happy to see healthcare in the room as well. Take a quick breath because I've been talking my face off, and I am going to pass this information now on to Lauren. We have another kind of feel for the room, just to give me a breather from talking. Lauren, I'm passing it to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for your energy and for getting us started. Hello, everyone. Again, we're going to do a little check-in activity. I'm going to ask you to put your answer into the chat for this question. And the question is, what is your favorite sign of spring? So I'm going to put that into the chat for you. And if you could answer that, we'd love to hear from you. Ernisha, while we do this for the next few minutes, would you mind playing some music? Thank you. What is your favorite sign of spring?
When my soul was in the lost and found, oh, you came along to claim it. Oh, I didn't know just what was wrong with me, oh, till your kiss helped me name it. Now I'm no longer doubtful of what I'm living for. And if I make you happy, I don't need to do more. 'Cause you make me feel, you make me feel,
All right, about one more minute, friends.
feel like a natural woman. Oh, baby, what you've done to me, what you done to me. You make me feel so good inside, good
All right.
inside.
Thank you so much, Ernisha, if you don't mind pausing the music. Thanks, folks. So here's what I'm seeing in terms of the favorite signs of spring. We've got star jasmine, flowers, lots of things about nature, birds. I put in my birthday, you know, Aries don't care. We will say it's our birthday. Warmer weather and the beach, honeybees, fresh air, convertible weather. I love that. And extra sunlight. So we got a lot of people who love being outside, you know, emerging from the winter. Really appreciate that. No jacket, perfect, love that. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it back to Sarah to introduce one of our guest speakers and someone I've worked with a lot and I'm really happy is here, Jonathan Pringle.
Hey, thanks so much, Lauren. I'm so excited we all answered those beautiful questions. Jonathan Pringle is first up for us today. I do not believe he is part of the stacked chip fortune. Pringles chips, if anyone knows, if those are a favorite. But Jonathan is a librarian, an archivist, and he is from Canada as well. He is joining from another time zone. So I think we might have at least 3 different time zones at this meeting today. So welcome, Jonathan, and let me know when you're ready. I'm going to mute myself.
Well, thank you so much for that kind introduction, and I'm just really happy to be here. You seem like a really fun group of people, and maybe I'll change Region 4 and just join Region 2. So I am presently in New Mexico, Taos, New Mexico, and I'm just really loving being here this afternoon with all of you to talk about my experience with grant writing, and hopefully it helps unlock a couple of mysteries around grant writing. I usually start presentations like this by doing some form of a positionality statement, because I always think it's important so that people know who I am and where I'm coming from a little bit more. So I am a cis white male. My pronouns are he, him. I'm gay, I'm married. I am an immigrant to this country. I received my American citizenship in 2017, but I'm a dual citizen. I can speak English and French. I'm an archivist, and that's a big identity marker for me. I'm detail oriented. I'm a grant writer, so maybe that's part of the reason why I was invited to come here to speak. I'm able-bodied, neurotypical. I live with anxiety. I never say that I struggle or suffer from anxiety. I live with it. It is just a part of who I am and my identity. And I put as my last little marker perfectionist, but I cross it out because I think all of us can strive to try to eliminate perfectionism from our vocabulary, because it's a fallacy to try to pretend that we are trying to achieve a perfect kind of a state. So it's okay to just sort of exist. So I try to remove that from my vocabulary. Next slide. So the NNLM has various grant timelines that I always pay attention to these timelines right out the gate whenever I'm looking at a grant opportunity. And they do a really great job of advertising the opportunities, but also like just a quick kind of summary of what you are maybe going to be most interested in applying for. So NNLM provides a really easy to understand structure of requirements for prospective applicants. And when you drill down into a specific opportunity, you want to pay attention to the amount that's listed as the available maximum amount, and then the award summary. So skimming over that summary will give you a good idea of whether or not this funding source is relevant to what you're doing. And I always say it's a good idea to map potential funding to something you are already doing, as opposed to seeing the amount that you could apply for and quickly coming up with a project to fit that niche. That often doesn't really work out very well. And then you also, when you're looking at some of these things and you're thinking about your available resources, consider whether or not the period of performance, so like the time frame from beginning and end, whether it aligns with your available staffing or current projects and doesn't affect your day-to-day operations. And next slide. So I grabbed this from your page, and these are the snapshot, big top level overview of grants that are available through Region 2. There's 4 that are available uniquely within the region, and then another 2 that are national. It's easy to see the maximum amount available and seize an opportunity and just really get excited about maximizing that amount. But know that applying for, directing, and reporting on grant funding can be a bit of work, but with some experience, it's not such a hassle. So next slide, please. Before putting anything down on paper and starting to draft a proposal, maybe start by contacting one of your amazing NNLM Region 2 liaison folks and see if it's a viable idea for funding. This liaison can definitely help tighten up the pitch and help form a preliminary budget. They might ask you questions that might provoke some ideas around the budget. Next, and most critically, present this pitch and a proposed budget to your administration for their feedback and approval. We can get really excited, but then we can get our vision kind of squashed a little bit with the realism from the administration that maybe that's not possible right now. And along with that budget, make sure you include indirect costs, those infamous indirect costs, or they sometimes call them F&A, because that's something that NNLM will cover. And as a helpful aside, NNLM does not require any sort of matching for their budgets. So that sort of opens up that available maximum amount to use a little bit more liberally. And when planning when planning, start by focusing on the final deliverable and what you anticipate seeing included. So if you put together an exhibit, think about that launch and what you would like to have presented at that final launch or during the exhibit opening or something like that. Work backwards and kind of think about the sequencing of events that will bring you to that final product. So maybe through this process, you'll identify an additional stakeholder that you hadn't previously considered. So think realistically about the time it will take to accomplish something, and again, work backwards to consider the appropriate amount of time to make it happen. And then use all this information to draft a timeline that feels achievable. So next slide. And so now you're ready to write, and writing the grant is a very nuanced art. It's sometimes not really thought of as a creative output, but more of a needing to make sure you check all of the boxes and you say the things that need to be said. So all of these questions that are on this page here, these come directly from an award description and application instructions. And so I always, when I'm looking at something like this, I really dive into the questions and the statements that are being made about the type of funding that they would like to see applicants use the monies for. So it's right there in the description. So this award's primary aims are to, the purpose of this award is to provide all projects must incorporate. So those are statements that really are helpful to keep in mind when you're getting ready to write, because you want to address all those things. And then I like to pay attention to, and NLM does a really great job of providing the and questions that reviewers will be asking as they review your proposals. So look at those questions and make sure that you're addressing those as well. So, you know, how does this project support the missions or goals, objectives of NLM? Are staff trained to do this? Can the project be evaluated for success? So you want to be able to kind of justify all of those things when you're doing your writing. So really look into the details of what the actual proposal is asking. The next slide. And then something I do is I copy and paste each question and even sometimes the explanation for each question into a shareable document like Google Docs, and then make sure one by one that I'm addressing each of those questions. So I also feel a sense of momentum when I've at least drafted a response to a question, no matter how short the question is, like institution name. So that sort of makes me feel like, okay, I'm finished with that. I can move on to the next question. So the benefits of sharing this document in a shared space is that you could connect your NNLM liaison with it, or your other colleagues that you trust with helping review the responses. And you can get edits or get comments from those folks to make enhancements or changes directly in that document. And so for submissions that use forms, I believe like a lot of NNLM application submissions that don't provide the ability to save and come back, this external document is really helpful, because you can take that beautiful finished version that you've spent so long on and simply copy paste them into the submission form prior to the due date. Next slide. And the way that I look at how I think about where I'm going to put my focus and my energy is in these percentages and these kind of core component categories. So, but everyone may have their own way of thinking. This is just kind of my way of thinking about how to structure the overall narrative and how much weight is given to each of these areas. So, for example, does the project make a strong case for its importance or sense of urgency? I say that's about 20% of the thing that you focus on. Is the budget and timeline realistic in how the deliverables will be achieved? So did you compel the reviewers that your timeline and your budget are realistic in how that project will be completed? Does the project align with NNLM goals and objectives? And then similarly, does it align with your own institutional goals? That's another big consideration. Another is if there's a form of assessment, meaning that it has measurable outcomes, either positive or negative. It's okay to have an outcome that doesn't really work out very well. Just let them know that that could be a realistic possibility, and that the results of the project will sort of lay that out in a way. And then finally, most funding agencies, including NNLM, really want to see work that supports diversity, equity, and inclusion, either directly or indirectly. So it could be that it's not just 10% of the effort that really focuses on that, but it could be the entire project is really, that's what the focus is. So that number would go way up. But it's always really good to embed some form of DEI as a deliverable into the project. And then, of course, make sure that the narrative is legible and presented in a structured, easy to read way, no massive paragraphs, and use headings to break up the narrative itself. Next question, or next slide, please. So now you've received the grant and you're looking to maintain and manage this grant over time. So again, there's this work that happens not only in doing the project, but also managing your time and making sure that you achieve those markers, those milestones along the way. What I like to do is I like to look at my timeline and actually put entries into my calendar to make sure that by a certain time I've met that objective. And if not, then maybe I need to meet with my liaison to help me restructure my timeline or make a modification to the budget if something has come up, or just sort of make some internal shifts to sort of realign myself and make sure that I don't get way off track. I usually right out the gate, I say, is I anticipate delays. You're going to get delayed for one reason or another. And it's about how you see those in advance and you kind of anticipate them even. And you make good plans to redirect yourself to get back on track. And that might mean that you make alterations to your timeline or your budget. And then regularly meet with your liaison. And I would say at the beginning, midway, and just before the end. And by doing that, then you're just going to better assure that you're going to have completed or have success with completion of the project as outlined. And then next slide with the wrap up. So you have, you've finished the project, you're maybe a week away or 2 weeks away from completing it. Keep an eye on those emails. Sometimes it can feel like there's a lot of emails that tell you what the requirements of the expectations are, but really pay attention to those requirements and also look at the website itself because that will outline what those requirements will be. And do the same thing where you draft a Google Doc or something like that that can be shareable and put all of the responses that you need to answer or address in that Google Doc in that form. That will be really helpful for sharing out with other, either your liaison or other colleagues that can give you some good feedback. And then of course, disseminate. And that can look like a lot of different things, but it could simply be a blog post with the region. It could be a presentation at a conference. It could be a poster. You just want to make sure that you meet your deliverables and you disseminate in some capacity. And oftentimes the narrative will tell you what that looks like. And then, of course, you're done. So celebrate, of course. So that's pretty much all that I really wanted to mention from my life of experience writing grants, receiving grants, working with grants. So I'm open to any questions. I don't know if that will happen now or perhaps later, but I'm happy to be a resource for folks. So there's my contact information if anyone needs to contact me one-on-one.
Jonathan, that was excellent. Excellent timing. And I really enjoyed the two things that stood out to me was celebrating the incremental steps in a grant application, because there are lots of little steps. And so giving yourself a kudos for each one is a great idea. And thank you for bringing up the liaisons and reaching out to really our team, which each of us is a liaison to a state. And that means that we are a liaison to you and want to really build those partnerships and relationships, and we can be thought partners and help bounce ideas off. Does anyone have any questions for Jonathan or Nisha? Can you see any in the chat for me?
There is one question. It says, can you address budgeting for volunteer cost?
Yeah, and this is I mean, maybe this is also something that Isaac could answer, but when it comes to matching requirements, NLM doesn't have any. So even if you're using your volunteer hours, and you can determine an hourly rate to kind of position, your match, even though it's not required for the proposal, volunteers, I think we've used $20 an hour, but I know it varies from institution to institution. But you know, I don't want to speak to those specific types of things if they're not really required for the budget itself.
Anyone else? Did that answer your question, or does anyone else from my team have a good thought on that?
And it was well answered. That is correct. One thing, there's voluntary cost sharing, or there's involuntary cost sharing. That's when like you are required to tell, okay, like if you're gonna ask for 10% effort and you need to match the salary, like you have to account for it. So that's the involuntary. There's sometimes like with our ORSP, there was a little small confusion this year on our year one grant, where for folks who were asking for funding, but we're putting like 10% effort, but with zero salary requests. They were asking me for them to give us a cost share and an example how they're gonna cost share. But I was able to speak to them. These folks are community-based organization. The university is no problem, but the small organization, we don't need that kind of information. So they were able to abide by it, where the folks I did ask for cost shared information, we went back and had them revise the subaward where they don't have to volunteer their cost sharing information because it's not required by the LLM. So I absolutely agree with you. And then we were able to fix that.
Thank you, Isaac. Let's see, should you always account for salaries for librarians if a part of job? Shannon Glover has that. Do we want to punt this for a moment and go into your Region 2 presentation, Isaac, and then come back to Shannon's question?
No, I think if Jonathan want to answer that and chime to that, then I can as well. And that's
awesome.
Fine.
So I'm going to throw it to you guys again. So this is what it is. Should you always account for salaries for librarians if a part of the job?
I would say yes. If this is a person that's dedicating 50% of their time or 25% of their time, I believe that, and Isaac can correct me on this, that you could certainly include that as the budget. That would be something that NNLM would cover. But I don't want to be 100% sure unless Isaac says that's.
No, that's very good. That's a very good question and a very good answer. It depends, right? And for example, if you apply for $2,000 exhibit award, and then it's the $2,000 exhibit award, and you put in 5%, and then like if you want let's say if you're making $100,000, and that $2,000 exhibit award is not gonna go far, right? And to cover your salary. But if you're asking for if you're applying for $20,000 grant, so it's all depend on the dollar amount you're applying for, and also if your company is not able to cover your salary, and in that people kind of usually volunteer the time, and that's like extra activities that they are doing and that kind of stuff. And so but I have folks who ask for salary support, and then we do support them based on the budget and what they're asking for. But usually if it's a small grant, the salary and fringe and benefits can eat it up before you can even get the project off the ground. So it depends on the dollar amount that you're requesting and what we have available and what kind of funding we're trying to fund and for what purpose.
Thank you, Isaac. Shannon said, great, thanks for the clarification. So Jonathan and Isaac, wealth of grant information. I appreciate you both taking on those questions right now. We do have, I see another question in the chat, and let me look at my timing because I am going to manage this. Aaliyah Spencer, I see your question. You can wait. Don't worry about it. Don't apologize. We've got it in the chat. We're going to bring in Isaac right now to talk about specific funding for year 2 from our region. But right before Isaac comes on, we've got 2 more questions that we'd like to ask the audience, because this could help us know a little more too. Third question is, have any of you thought about applying to Region 2 funding? So here is the next 2 questions for you. The first question is, have you thought about applying for Region 2 funding this year? Yes, no, or I've already applied. And the second question is, what are some of the barriers to your organization for applying if you haven't? Grants can be overwhelming, and Region 2 grants can be overwhelming just because they all are. So we want to know how we can be better. We can help our membership, we can help the Southeast region, how we can get money into members' hands and into health information and health projects. So what are some of the barriers? We don't have grant application skills. We don't have time. We don't have a project in mind. We don't need funding is even better, but that's, we have funding to give. And there's an other. These are great responses for us to be able to know more about you. And polls are kind of fun to take. So it looks like we're pretty equal on people who have thought about applying, kind of a 50-40. 10% have already applied, and some of the barriers, it looks like the biggest barrier is time. Isn't that amazing? Time is a barrier to applying for grants. Okay, I'm going to close this poll. Thank you for your answers. And I'm going to introduce Isaac, my colleague, the grant administrator, who will delve deeper into Region 2 funding. And here we go, Isaac. Thank you so much. I'm turning the microphone to you.
Great. Thank you so much. Again, a special thanks to Jonathan for laying the groundwork on the grant, especially on the best practices. It makes better sense for folks who have applied, who have successfully applied and monitor the grant and has a success story to share. So that was great. Thank you for doing that, Jonathan. And then, so basically our year 2, the application is currently open, and the deadline for application for year 2 is May 16th. And with that being said, we will have a July 1st project start date, and then with April 30th, 2023 end date. So with that being said, we do have, as you can see, outline the funding that we have available. We have about 5 health information outreach award that we want to give up to $20,000, and we have 5 disaster and prep recovery award that we definitely want to push, especially and for folks who are in the South. And we know hurricane season is among us as well, and different stuff. So we want to make sure those disaster prep and recovery, the funding is available, and up to 5 of them. And then for technology improvement, we have 2 of them available, up to 5,000. And then also for professional development, we have about 4 of them available, up to 1,750. And then lastly, the exhibit award. And again, we have 4 of them available, up to $2,000. Again, going back to the question that was asked, and that's why I said it was depend. For example, if you're applying for the Health Information Outreach Award, it would be great if you are spending time and doing outreach. It's pretty good, and to supplement your salary, and then to get little salary. But on the professional development, it's just basically for travel costs, and then conference fees. So there won't be no room for salary in that one. And then if you talk about the exhibit award, again, it would be focusing on the exhibit. So basically, those are the information that I have for the grant. So, and I hope Jonathan overview kind of help you to not to be afraid of the grant process. It's not a bad process at all. It is time consuming, but you have all the resources available. And I can be a resource. I am a resource to help you with the budget and budget justification and the NIH BioSketch, or in the PHS 298, whatever information you have. And especially one thing that confuse folks, especially on the PHS 298 forms, is asking for initial budget, total budget, because our grant is only 1 year at a time. So basically, your first page is always going to talk about your initial budget is your total budget, because we're only 1 year. But if we were on multiple years, and then it would be different, right? Like your initial budget would be different from your total budget. And with that being said, I don't want to be a little overwhelm the process. And then I think it's good to, when you apply and get funded, it's a good time. We do celebrate the time with you as well. And feel free to send an email and reach out if you have any questions, and looking forward to get a lot of application. Again, year 2 will be competitive, and because like we have a lot of time for folks to apply for the grant to get the work done. So we're excited to receive your application, and hopefully we can fund some of you. I cannot promise we're going to fund all of you, but if your application to us hit the ball out of the park, and know like we'll be supporting you along the way with the process until the grant end. Sarah, you muted it if you say anything. Anyone have any questions for me regarding the grants?
Thank you so much for taking that on, Isaac. I couldn't find my unmute button.
I understand. Anyone have any questions for me? Any question in the chat, Nisha?
No questions.
There was a question from Aaliyah Spencer that I pushed off. Do you see
Okay.
that in there? Or Aaliyah, you can come off of mute and let us know.
I can read it.
Mm.
She prefers.
Thank you.
For nonprofits, is there a rule of thumb for program director salary costs as a percentage of the budget? Should I read it again?
Say that one more time.
For nonprofits, is there a rule of thumb for program director salary costs as a percentage of the budget?
I'm not sure if I'm following the question, so let me, the best way I can answer it. Most folks who are applying, they're all nonprofit and small organization or faith-based organizations, or sometimes even if they're institution like a university, most of them are for nonprofit. And usually your salary should match the effort like you are putting in, and especially think about it, like don't, like for example, I wouldn't, again, because those projects are so small dollar amount, and you have to also don't overstate your effort on the project. You know, like you're not spending 40 hours on the project, so that's something like, maybe if you're spending 2 hours per week and that kind of stuff, so that's how you will determine your effort. And so I have a little formula, then I can help you with that if you have more questions. So, and Jonathan, is there anything you can add to that? But that's the best way, and if I'm understanding the question correctly, again, because this is such a small grant, and then the salary effort you can ask on this grant, and it cannot be more than what you will need to implement your project. If, for example, if you need supplies, if you need, if you go into a community where you need to engage the community, where there will be some incentive for the community, the people like you trying to reach, that kind of stuff. So it's all proportional based on the grant budget, and also what are you trying to accomplish.
And I would say that that's exactly true. I don't have anything further to add to that. I think it's a classic answer is it depends. And, you know, don't eat up all of your budget by paying yourself, basically. Kind of think about the effort, percentage of effort that you think you're going to encumber in this project, and reflect that in the amount that's available. So yeah, it sounds like it would be great for you to speak with your liaison or with Isaac about that specific kind of a question, but I don't think there's any hard or fast rule. I think it's just sort of your best guess.
Correct. That's well said.
Yeah. The reason why I asked that was because when I calculate in the cost, all the costs, including specialists or people, you know, working with a dietitian, a physical therapist, their costs, the grant is so small, and the cost to pay them, it really leaves nothing. So I wonder, you know, for me to, I mean, it's work that I've been doing in the past, but it's like with more resources now with a grant. So I don't even see where I can get paid out of it to do any work, but I'm still thankful because it's, like I said, it's continuation of work that I've been doing. So it'd be nice to see that outreach grow. But after I calculated what it would cost to pay other people to be involved, I realized there's like about $200 left. So I know I'm doing it wrong. I mean, so it's not to get rich or anything, but I just would like some idea about how you really balance a budget when you're paying people to be involved and you're buying resources and the budget is small.
Sure. I mean, that's very valid, Aliyah. So please, let's set up a meeting and talk, and then I can probably coach a little bit and show you how to come up with the budget. And to going back to the same question again regarding salary, for example, we have a sub-award in I believe it's in Tennessee, where they have two educators who are teaching senior citizens how to use technology in the library, something like that. So most of the cost is going towards those two educators. So basically, they're not buying any equipment, so they already have all that stuff ready. So they just wanted to pay the educators to teach the senior citizens. So that kind of meet our demographic. So that's what I went back and said, it all depends on what you're trying to accomplish and how you're trying to accomplish it. But definitely let's have a talk, and then we can work over the budget. And sometimes whoever you're asking to, so as a nonprofit, some people are giving some of their time as well. They understand they can truly fully compensate for the work they are doing, right? So that's the community engagement stuff, right? Some of the stuff will be more like a volunteering or the little small stipend to say thank you for your work that you're doing, or like for example, as an honorarium, if they're coming to give us a talk to because they're not working every single day on the project, but if they're coming to do an education assistant program for one group, then we can talk about maybe we can agree to give them a stipend for coming to say, no, thank you for participating in a sense. So this is definitely, the dollar amount is definitely not there to support full salary for the work they are doing, for their professional services. And if that's the objective, then it's definitely the wrong partners you having for that one. So we need to think of finding some alternative partners so that can help push the program that believe in your vision and try what you are trying to accomplish in your community, in a sense. So that will be my long answer to a very simple question.
Thank you very much.
Okay, how is that? How do we feel? Can everyone hear me? Thumbs up? Yes? No?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We are ahead of schedule, which is amazing. And thank you so much, Isaac. Jonathan, does anyone have any other questions out there? Earl Nisha, you'll have to tell me if it's in the chat. Otherwise, we'll just keep on trucking. Okay.
No questions.
All right, good news. Well, there's no need to really introduce our third speaker, Deborah, who is our team and a teammate and colleague. An incredible education perspective she has. And so I'd like to welcome Deborah to the podium, to the platform, to the microphone, to start us out on education.
Hello, everybody. I am hoping that you all are familiar with some of the educational opportunities that are offered through the NNLM. But what I really want you to do is be aware of what we specifically in Region 2 are doing. We are fortunate to be far enough in our grant process to be able to participate in the National NNLM Education Program. So if you guys have gone to nnlm.gov and looked at the calendar and seen some different types of educational opportunities, professional development, we are now participating in that. So I'm really excited to say that we are doing 12 courses during our year 2. And so for us, quarter 1 is May through July. So if you guys look on that calendar, the training calendar, and see wellness in the workplace, health literacy, RDM on-demand data security, storage, and preservation, providing multilingual and multicultural health information resources, it is very possible that people from our region are teaching or co-teaching or co-leading these courses, and we're hoping to see you. So same thing for quarter 2, August through October. We're doing, I am helping with wellness in the workplace. I'm teaching it in quarter 2, and I'll just go ahead and say quarter 4. Elizabeth in quarter 2 is doing, again, the RDM on-demand data and data literacy in quarter 4. And Deanne is doing wellness in the workplace in quarter 3. And RDM on-demand data. If you see some tie over, we're doing a lot of partnership work. And Sarah is doing beyond an apple a day, providing consumer health info at your library. And if you'll notice on this chart, there are different kinds of courses. So if you look under quarter 3, effective health communication, that's a webinar. So some of these opportunities are like 1 hour and they do give you CE credit. And then some of them are more like the scheduled Moodle Wellness in the Workplace you see for Deanne, quarter 1. That's a 2-week course where you'd have a little bit more engagement, discussion board. So there are learning opportunities for everyone in our region. If you would like to hit the next slide for me, I would appreciate it.
Deborah, before you move on, we have a question.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It says, can we
Can we-
promote education to our public library colleagues, or do they need to join first?
Both of those things are true. You absolutely can promote it, and I sure hope you do. I'll tell you just 2 seconds about me. My background is actually in public libraries, and that's how I learned about the NNLM. I took advantage of some of the collaboration and training. So please spread the word. To be able to sign up for these events and activities, they do have to be members though. But I mean, it's a free membership process, and who wouldn't want to join, right? So please spread the word. We want public libraries to participate, and I in particular am rooting for our public library folks. So thank you for asking that. So speaking of programs, we also have a lot of things that we have offered in the past and currently offer. We sponsor MLA courses that you would find on MLA.net periodically throughout the year. So if you watch our social media and check out our pages, you can sign up to have free sponsored MLA CE courses. And we have monthly webinars. We've had some really amazing topics. We just had a great, really high turnout 3-session introduction to evidence-based practice. It was highly successful. It really hit the target. And how did it hit the target? Because we listened to you guys. So please reach out and let us know what you're interested in learning about. What are the things that would be high ticket items for you? Because we do those monthly webinars. We also have monthly tech talks. We've had some really interesting ones. We just started this 2 months ago. So back in March, we had 3D printing for healthcare applications. And I am not the most tech savvy person, but I was enthralled. And we had most recently on the 14th of April, explainable artificial intelligence and the Rubik's Cube. It was high level, but this person, Forrest, Dr. Agadlini, oh, I'm killing his last name, sorry, Forrest, did this really high level talk and made these very scientific concepts about AI really pertainable to life and human learning and intuition. So I'm really proud of the quality and caliber of the education programs that we're providing. And coming up very soon on May 10th, we are so lucky to have Dr. Eleanor Fleming talk to us about tackling inclusivity and the future of oral health. She is going to be amazing. Even just engaging with her and discussing the topic was wonderful. And I hope that you guys sign up. As always, you can sign up for our programming through all of our social medias, and please do follow us. Can you hit the next one, please? All right, so we also are taking our education on the road. We have been doing as much as we could virtually, but I will admit I'm super excited to see us out in the community. We want to be where you folks are. So most recently, I was in Wisconsin at the Health Literacy Summit and was fortunate enough to be able to present on telehealth equity, dialing in telehealth as a tool for health equity. It was great. I even saw some folks from South Carolina and some other states in our region. So we're trying to engage with you guys. If you see our faces, please say hello and engage with us. Elizabeth Ross and Rachel Whitney did a wonderful presentation about Medline Plus for librarians at the Tennessee Library Association conference. You can see Rachel in the photo. And then please be mindful that when we can, periodically, we'll be doing exhibits as well. So if you look at the bottom, you can see SCPHA conference. So Sarah, myself, and Monique Hill were at the South Carolina Public Health Association conference, and you can see a very fancy picture of Sarah and I showing off our table. That was the first time that we have tabled at an event as NNLM Region 2. So if we saw you there, hello again. And Monique did a really great health literacy think tank talk, and I was able to promote our educational programs and some of the ways in which we can help towards health literacy through NNLM Region 2 services. So we are looking for you guys, and we are going to be out in the community hoping to see you all. And I'm hoping that you take advantage of some of our educational opportunities. That is my part. Does anybody have any questions?
We were going to share in the chat some links to our resources. So Earl Nisha, a throw in the chat, there is a link to our funding, to becoming a member, training and specializations, which will be the next topic. And yours truly, myself, will be presenting that. But I just wanted to make sure, do we have any open questions for Deborah right now? Holy cannoli. I gotta slow
I'm not seeing any questions in the
roll.
chat.
Okay.
We did get a good comment about what a wonderful facilitator you are, Sarah, and it is all true.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you. I love to have a fan club. And I've got everything working right now. So if we have any education questions for Deborah, throw them in the chat. I'm going to continue on to the next one. We split up, Deborah and I split up education trainings for this town hall. We can, Deborah can give us exact ways to access these great opportunities as well. But here we go. Specializations. Do you want another level of expertise? How about another diploma behind your desk? Well, if so, we're coming to you with specializations. And so today I'd like to introduce you to the CHIS, the DIS, or the DISIS. So all of these specializations are programs that are offered through the Medical Library Association, the MLA, and these classes, the classes to the specializations, like our classes that Deborah noted earlier, are all available. They could be live webinars, they could be on demand, online, pre-recorded. So there's no way that you'll miss them. For the specializations, our office sponsors the fees for you. So that is another way of funding, that we provide funding to members. Now I'd like to go a little deeper with the individual specializations. The Consumer Health Information Specialization, acronym CHIS, is the specialization where you will be trained to provide health information, resources, technologies, and health information services for communities. Now, these specializations are available to librarians, but also to other people who would be interested in them. Level 1 for the CHIS specialization is 12 continuing education hours. So these do take a commitment. The level 2, if you already have your level 1, is another 12 continuing education hours. And the second specialization is the DIS, or the Disaster Information Specialization. So this is the training that provides, that helps you provide access, the use, and management of information supporting institutions and communities in the stages of planning, responding, and recovering from emergencies and disasters. You will see some thematic themes in our work. We did talk about earlier, Isaac talked about a disaster response funding award. Here is a disaster information specialization. So there are concentrations and themes that our office does promote. Now for the DIS certification, there's a basic level of 15 continuing education hours, and for the advanced level, it's 27. This is a quick little promo, but I'm going to do the disaster information specialization if anyone wants to kind of co-work with me. And the third and last one is the data services specialization, otherwise known by me as the DISIS. So the data services specialization is the training that treats you how to provide current and quality data services, data management, and data services support for researchers, clinicians, students, librarians, the public, anyone who wants to play around with data. And this one is a basic level. It has a little different format about continuing education hours, but nothing that can't be handled. This on the left, we've got the HTTPS, the link directly to Specializations. There are several tabs across that page that tell you a little more about the in-depth specialization process and those classes that you can choose from. Now, does anyone have any questions for education or training? We are still ahead of the game. I see you, Deborah.
Questions, but I did want to mention one thing that I'd like to throw out to the crowd. All of these courses are taught by experts, and we love to support folks who are in our region. So if you are interested in presenting on a topic where you're an expert that you think might be of interest to Region 2, please reach out to us, and we'd love to consider you as a speaker.
Awesome.
We do have a question.
Yes, how many CE hours for the DDS? Okay, the DDS, is that the DSS or the DIS? That sounds kind of funny. Oh, the DSSS, Data Services Specialization. There is a concentration. There's like 5 classes that you have to take. I don't know the exact specifics. Wondering if anyone on my team does.
I just pulled it up. It is 3 credits in each of 5 skill areas.
So that'd be 15 if we do the math correctly. Thank you. 15 credit hours or 15 continuing education hours. About 15. Thanks. Got it. Thanks so much for your questions. Also, we are offering, it looks like Region 2 NNLM office is offering 10 complimentary virtual conference registrations for the 2022 MLA annual meeting. Wow. For members who are unable to afford the cost of attendance, check it out. It's in the chat. If you have more questions, we can answer them about that. Thank you, Sarah. You're welcome.
And that deadline is coming up really quickly. So if you guys want to share that with your network, please do. We would like to have those numbers, have people fighting for those numbers.
Also, we can offer more. So don't be shy if you're like, oh, okay, you might hit 10 pretty fast. We will find more if there's more interest. So please don't be shy to reach out.
Now, based on the questions, I don't think anyone in this group is shy. So I'm going to keep on moving on. I got to tell you, we are ahead of schedule, which is amazing for my sanity, and I'm sure for your evenings as well. But we've made it this far. Stay with me. We have an excellent kind of rounder outer of this funding opportunities and the information sharing about programs. I am going to introduce our final speaker of the town hall, Michael, who's coming up from us from the All of Us program. I believe he may also be coming in from Iowa. So that would be in a second time zone, I believe. Michael, who will speak with us about the well-known and very popular All of Us program. So I am going to turn it over to Michael. Here I am clapping, lots of applause for Michael. Come on in.
Thanks so much for that warm introduction, Sarah. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me tonight, colleagues from Region 2. It's nice to hear about what you've been up to for the last year. Kudos on kickstarting your office. And thanks again for opportunity to come and share a little bit about the NNLM All of Us National Program. So as Sarah said, my name is Michael Balkenhall. I'm the engagement coordinator for the NNLM All of Us National Program. I'm actually based out of Pittsburgh. So I have a UIowa email address So, but I'm based out of Pittsburgh. A little bit more about me. I'm a native Philadelphian, but I found my way to Pittsburgh some time ago, where I worked as a librarian in public libraries and mostly children's and teen services before heading to the NNLM about 4 years ago. So that is a little bit about me. If you head to the next slide. So the NNLM All of Us National Program is the result of a partnership between the National Library of Medicine and the All of Us Research Program. If you're not familiar, haven't heard of it, All of Us is a research program of the National Institutes of Health. It is seeking 1 million or more people from across the US to help speed up medical research. People who join will share information about their health habits and what it's like where they live. And by looking for patterns, researchers may learn more about what affects people's health. So as I said, the NNLM All of Us National Program is a partnership between NLM and All of Us to provide resources to NNLM members to raise awareness of All of Us and to partner with communities who are underrepresented in biomedical research in order to improve health, digital, and related literacy skills. We do this through funding, training, and a variety of ways. Our program is based out of the University of Iowa and the University of Pittsburgh. So I'm on the Pittsburgh side, but I work between both teams, actually. First, a quick video, if we can get it to work. If not, we'll share the link. But this is a short video about All of Us. I don't have sound for that one, and it's okay if it doesn't work. Sometimes it doesn't cooperate.
Is there sound?
Not yet. And no worries if we don't get that to work. So this is a quick video. I'll be sure to throw a quick link into the chat. It tells a much better picture than words can explain in under 2 minutes, and a nice animation about the program. So take a look at it later, and we could definitely move on. So I wanted to just quickly share two main community engagement components of our programs. First and foremost, community awards, and then I'll talk a little bit about our virtual health programs. So similar to Region 2, we have funding that is open nationally for projects to blanket the entire United States. In this last year, just some quick stats of our 4 focus areas and the number of awards we were able to give. First and foremost, digital information access. We anticipate that mostly we're going to keep these awards for the next year, but we're kind of working on our strategic planning right now. But for this last year, to give you a little heads up about what might be offered again, our digital information access awards aim to broaden health information access in communities, mostly through libraries, through either technology or programming. Our health programming award focused on virtual or in-person events and projects at public libraries, focused on either health literacy, digital literacy, and or the public understanding of clinical research. Our mini awards focused on small kind of like one-off projects. And we were able to offer professional development awards to the Public Library Association last month. And folks who joined us came to a roundtable to talk about our NNLM All of Us focus areas. One thing to mention, any organizations that we fund don't do any enrollment or recruitment for the program. So we're pretty strictly awareness-based for the work that we do in our communities. On to the next slide. So at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, we, like everyone in our world, had to switch and pivot a little bit. And we started to do some virtual health programming, essentially coming in with partnerships with libraries as well as other engagement partners from the All of Us Research Program. And we started to do film screenings, talks and panel discussions, citizen science events, and more. Up here are some promotional info. We had a film screening and a talk with a panel about the documentary about Dr. Fauci. We held a English and Spanish event around anxiety and going back to school around COVID-19 last summer, as well as vaccine development and and efficacy sessions that were in English and Spanish too. In this last year, we had 13 events and we had just under 2,000 attendees. If you are from a public library or another institution and you would think that you would maybe want to partner with us on one, please do feel free to reach out, because we're planning a couple more for this coming year. And again, we often offer it in English or Spanish with translations or American Sign Language too, depending on our audience that we were working with. So that's a little bit about our VHP. On the next slide, we have a DNA Day author talk and a reading club kit opportunity. So our next event is an author talk with Whitney Stewart and Hans C. Anderson. They're the authors of Genomics, A Revolution in Health and Disease Discovery. So that's coming up next week. So if that is up your alley, you're welcome to attend virtually to that author talk. If you do programming in your life, there is a reading club kit that we're offering to go along with it that includes 8 books and a discussion guide, as well as all of us materials. So if that is of interest, please do check it out. Next slide is just some contact info for me and my team. So I'm available anytime. Feel free to reach out with questions. Similar to what others have said earlier, when it comes to our funding, before considering applying, please do reach out and talk to us about your programming and how it might. We're more than happy to brainstorm and guide folks through the process, through the application process and then after as well. So take a look at our website. We have a newsletter for our national program. And like I said, you're welcome to reach out to me, or if you would like to bypass me and email my whole team, you're also able to do that. We have that info there. I'm happy to answer any questions. I see yay Philly. Yeah, born and raised.
I like the Berg, Michael. So
yeah, I'm very fond of Pittsburgh. Been here for closing on 15 years. It's also a nice place to live. Very cloudy, but delightful. So it's a good place to go home.
anyone have any questions? We've given a lot of information, a lot of funding options, different pathways to get money in your pocket for the work you do.
I have a question. If
Sure.
no one else has any, I
Please,
can
yeah.
wait.
Please.
Oh, okay. Sometimes organizations like grantors want to see a certain impact, like you have to reach a certain number of people in the place, like 300, 400, they have a certain number of people they want to see you affect. Is it something like that with this, where they, where no group is too small, or you prefer organizations that can reach bigger crowds, or some larger communities?
Sure. Yeah, so kind of a mix, actually. So I would say our community awards kind of go down 2 paths. One, some larger events that more directly raise awareness of all of us. But then also we funded projects that didn't necessarily directly raise awareness of all of us, but focused on small digital literacy classes. So like computer classes at libraries where Medline Plus is introduced. So a little bit of both, actually. I can't anticipate exactly what our goals are going to be for the future. Like I said, some of our events or some of our projects were really focused on raising awareness of all of us, and others are more like capacity building, and smaller groups are okay too. So we see a little bit of a mix. And then I'm not sure if anyone on the Region 2 side wants to answer. I think it's always nice to have like some aspirational goals for who you think might attend something, right? Or who will participate in a project. But I kind of view this funding from NNLM as some experimental time too, right? To maybe think about different things that might work or might not work, and trying out different things in your community.
Thank you, Michael. Anyone else want to take a stab at that? Do we have specific numbers we have to hit for these grants? Aaliyah, I know part of the NNLM LM's work and priority areas are, you know, communities that are impacted by health inequities and health disparities. And so I think, you know, not targeting, but work with communities in need is important.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had
So Aaliyah, can I ask a quick question?
yes.
Hey, this is Shannon. How are
Hi
you?
Shannon, I'm well, and you?
Are you asking about, is there a specific target number of people that need to attend your program?
Yes.
No,
Okay.
no, because you can't control that. You can plan the best program in the world and promote it as much as possible, and you can have 200 people sign up and only 50 people show up. And so no, we don't put a number on how many people you need to see, because you really can't control that. If you do everything that you're supposed to do in terms of promoting it, getting them to register, getting speakers, planning the program, we won't dictate to you how many people should be there, because life happens to people, and for whatever reason they can't show up. But you planned a good program and have measures in place to try to get them there. So no, there is no number that you're trying to reach. It's more so the communities that we are trying to impact. And I think when you report, we want to know how many people registered. Of course, you know, we want to know how many attended, but we also want to know, what did you do to try to raise awareness and get them there? And so that's the most important thing. So don't worry about hitting a particular number. More so focus on the community, focus on building a solid partnership with a community organization that you might be working with, and then let them help you get the community there, especially if it's a community that they are more entrenched in, so that, you know, let them help guarantee the attendees. And so that's what I would share with you, that, you know, don't aim for a number. Yes, we want people to attend your program, but we want you to build a solid, strong partnership, and then let your partner help you get the audience there. But yeah, we're not going to beat you up if you say, you know, 200 people register and only 50 of them showed up. I mean, because 50 people is a lot.
Yeah, thank you very much for saying that. I know some grantors, if you can't project a big number, they won't fund it. So and I know in this program who's likely to be a part of it, because they're always there, but there is another group inside that community that I want to reach. And I'd like to do some promotion and screening to get more information about how best to reach them. And this grant period is short, it's just a year. And I know sometimes usually it's longer for different grants, to do an outreach phase, a screening phase, and then the training. So my other question is, because it's so short, would it be okay to dedicate part of the year to just to teaching health literacy and all of that, but really focusing a lot too on gathering data in the community, so I could get better at targeting that extra group that I want to get to? It's people who've been previously incarcerated. And they don't always come to these programs. So I want to I need to do more to learn how to get that group.
Well, where do they go? Where do they show up? Because there's somewhere that they show up, some organization that they show up to get services. So is it the social work office? If that's where they show up to get services, maybe you partner with somebody in that division. So I think, to me, you figure out who's a key ally for that community, who has their ear, and who is providing services and is having good success with it. And then you go after that group as a partner.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
Because they have a captive audience. I mean, for no pun intended.
right, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting too, because sometimes they're a part of it, but they can elect not to show up, you know. So I think I could figure it out, but I want to expand what I do and get really good at it. So I wish I could dedicate, some time to just the data, getting data on it.
You see what Shannon
I will.
said,
Thank you.
in the chat.
Yeah.
And also too, I was thinking maybe the probation officers, or if there's an
Yeah.
office, a probation office, you
Mhm.
can contact, I mean, that would be your first line of contact. Maybe once they are coming out, or then maybe your resources can be available to be contacted. That could be another way I was thinking, go right from the top.
And the Goodwill has a reentry program
Mhm.
for formerly incarcerated people. And, they help them with job skills. They have a clothes pantry. And so, I think figuring out who do they go for services. And I know the Goodwill is because they just have that reentry program. So you just got to find out in your local community, who do they check in with? Like Isaac said, parole officers, a program like the Goodwill Reentry Program, because they're looking for organizations that can help help them re-enter into society. So figure out which groups those are, and then you would approach those groups with and talk to them about a mutually beneficial goal. What is it that they're trying to do, and then what is it that you're trying to do, and see is there some alignment. And Shannon Glover is putting some good ones in the chat box too. Barbershops, there have been a number of projects that show that barbershops are an excellent way to, I don't know if you're targeting African Americans, Latinx, but for instance, African Americans barbershops have been very successful partners when it comes to that. She also said halfway houses. So I think it just depends on what's available in your community for you to partner with. But I think partnership is the way to go.
Yeah, I think so. Because we have a nice network here. It's just that they're in the programs and don't always like to go to them. So it's like trying to figure it out.
They show up somewhere.
Yeah, they do. I have to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they show up somewhere.
Thank you all. I appreciate it.
I just had one more thing to add, which is just that, I think it's a good point that you're raising too, Aaliyah, about data gathering and information. And so in your application, you can definitely, because we ask for what your plan is, right? And how you're structuring your plan. So if you need an information gathering stage, like you said, for some months, you can build that in and just give us a justification, for what you plan to do to answer those questions that have come up today. That's totally okay. We just want to hear how you're approaching it and how it will impact the success of your overall program. And the other thing is about the outreach and who you wanted to reach in terms of your program, is that we do help you establish goals, right? So like we have goals too for our grant, but like folks have said, if we don't meet those goals, we just want to talk about why, right? And explain it. And I would also say that it's quality over quantity, right? So like, especially if you connect someone with NNLM resources, like somebody who's been formerly incarcerated, if they can use like PubMed or Medline Plus, I'm going to say that that's more important maybe than having 100 people come to your session and maybe not use any of our resources, right? Like that's a key connection, and something that we want to do is connect people to resources like all of us that Michael talked about, or like those NNLM library resources. So that's also important and is a quality outcome, maybe more than some of the numbers of programming.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your input and your guidance on that, because it's like they're in a lot of programs, but even those organizations have really low numbers for how many they reach, because they're all over, But I think all of that was very helpful. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That was a great question. And I'm sure it's helping other people who are in the audience too, or who will be watching this presentation. So thank you so much for your question.
You're welcome.
Leah, there are some other links people put in the chat. Halfway Homes, there's a link for a free program tomorrow about by a jail and reentry services librarian. So lots of information from the brains on this call tonight. So wow, where are we now? 6:25. I'm 10 minutes ahead. That's not a bad thing. That's really good. I've got another new message, but at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Lauren, our executive director, who just spoke a bit. And we're going to take all your last questions. And we've got a last polling question for you. I think. You're welcome. Everyone says thanks in the chat. Do we have a last polling question?
No.
And this may be, no, there isn't a last polling question. Even better. So, Lauren, I'm passing the mic to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Y'all, can we give some shout outs, some shine to Sarah for doing such a great job with emceeing, and also Elnisha for moderating. Feel free to do some emoji reactions or drop something in the chat. Thank you. That's so nice. People really appreciate it, right? We're virtual. If we were in person, I would ask for, applause and all that. But yeah, we just want you to know that we appreciate you, Sarah and Elnisha, for facilitating today. So yeah, we're at the last part of our presentation right now, which is just opening up for questions. So this is the part of the town hall where if you stuck with us, which we appreciate so much, please do feel free to, you can raise your hand, you can drop a question in the chat, or you can just unmute and ask a question. So yeah, any questions from the folks attending right now? Thank you. It can be about anything we've covered, or maybe if you have a burning question about something we did not go over today.
I got a question, Lauren.
Oh, okay.
And please, and forgive me in the beginning if y'all hear dogs barking because I'm in the car.
Yeah, did you have a question, Shannon? Or are you saying you saw a question from someone?
She may be coming in and out.
Okay.
Hear me? What people learn about the program? Did you hear me?
So we didn't. Okay, what was the question?
The question is, how did everyone hear of the program today about town hall?
Got it. How did you hear about the program today? Thank you, Shannon. Okay, this is a question for our attendees. How did you hear about the town hall today? So did you get it in an email? Did you find it online? How'd you find out? Thank you, Aaliyah, Shannon. Email.
Email. Oh, Sarah. Thanks, Pam. Oh, and say, oh, okay.
All right, email and Sarah. Great.
I am my own biggest fan.
All right, other questions? This time is for you. Please feel free to ask us anything.
So this is Michael here, and I have a question from another NNLM side of things. I'm always curious if anyone has like a favorite project that you saw this year, like one that you would hope that to be maybe replicated again, or that like really showed some promise. I'm always kind of curious about what was your favorite thing that you funded this year.
Yeah, I'm going to open it up to our strategists because they actually helped us with the last round with evaluating. So I'd like to hear from one of the strategist team or the admin team for this one.
And I can open it up as a grant administrator. We did fund several projects this time, but again, we have not received, the grant is still ongoing, so we haven't received our data yet to really evaluate the effectiveness of the grant of our subawardees and were they able to accomplish what they were set to accomplish. However, we can say there was one that kind of like we really like. It's a project we're trying to launch into the US Virgin Island. It's a mindful eating program where the goal is trying to really teach folks or create some kind of like a small program or a brochure, a manual, like to show people like how they can use whatever they have, but trying to put a little healthy spin on it and how to use whatever resources that they do have and just make it a little healthier for mindful eating. So that was one thing that it kind of opened my eyes, like the stuff we can do, and then hopefully that can be implemented to other smaller islands, and especially right now, again, not trying to get political with the war going on in Ukraine and Russia. We know they are the bread basket of the world, so that's something. So they're going to be lacking, right? So if you can teach folks to use what they have, to be more resourceful and to think about what they're using, and I think that's something that can go far, especially with an environment that's constantly changing. And there was another second one as well. It was called like a red dress project, and then February was a hard day and heart day. So the person, their goal was to teach people from different organizations and group, and to have a healthy heart. And I think that was also a good project as well. As you know, heart disease and it's very deadly in many communities, and I think teaching folks and to take good care of their hearts, I think that was a great project. And but all our projects were very worthy, and as I mentioned earlier, and we were very impressed with another project where they were teaching all the population how to use technology, how to stay update or current, and especially with the information and technology will all constantly changing, keeping those folks and how to use the internet and how to access information. Now, if you want to apply for insurance, for Medicare or Medicaid, you got to know how to use a website, right? Because like nobody now is most thing most information these days, you don't find a live person to speak with. Everything got automated. So it's kind of good. Like there's folks that's thinking about our older population as well to keep them current, to make sure they can have access to information. So which is kind of great. So that was a cool project as well. So I feel like all our projects were very worthy projects in a sense. So I am a little biased because I get to see them and work with those folks. But I think everything, all the projects are pretty good.
Thank you, Isaac. Deborah?
So mine is not necessarily as repeatable, but one that really stood out to me and made me proud of the work we do. One of our fundees is using the Oculus Oculus goggles to create a virtual reality experience so that physicians can experience what it feels like to like experience healthcare through the lens of bias, and to teach future healthcare providers to do a better job. And so I don't know, like that is not always repeatable by everybody, but it's something that I'm very proud of that we're funding.
Thank you for
wow,
mentioning
we
that
have
one.
that person in the
Online.
audience too.
Exactly. She's here with us. Awesome job, Deborah.
That was not planted, Shannon Glover. That was for real authenticity.
It was. That's one of my favorites. So good job. Kudos to you.
Thank you, Deborah. That was the one I was going to share too, but we really love that project.
I'll do a quick shout out to my previous employer, Nashville Public Library, currently has an award to incorporate a learning curriculum for their senior digital literacy program to learn health information searching skills as well as reputable online health information. mostly promoting Medline Plus. And that is definitely a project that could be replicated in other public library systems and community organizations as well.
Great, thank you for that question, Michael. Yeah, we hope that was helpful to kind of hear some of the overview. We're hoping that after year one, like Isaac said, once we get some of the results, we will invite some of the subawardees to present about their work and share that with our region and maybe people outside of our region. So that's in our plans for year two. Other questions? Yeah, shout out to Nashville Public Library. Thank you, Michael.
I just want to say thank you to everybody for and just for helping to guide me and help me understand that this process is really doable. I'm appreciative that you just shared those programs because they sound really reasonable. They sound like it's going to really impact people in a real way, and not so scary. Sometimes these grants seem complicated, I mean, I know they can get complicated, but to have something funded that is going to be impactful and you don't have to get super imaginative, you can just do what would help. That's a great thing. And so thank you so much for your leadership, all of you on that, to help people.
Thank you, Aaliyah. Your engagement is really inspiring. So thank you for sharing so much with us today. And for your kind words. It means a lot to us. And you're right, everyone that's a part of Region 2 is a leader, so including our subawardees. So we really appreciate that feedback. And something that I'll say too is, like Jonathan mentioned, and I think Isaac did too, as well as Sarah, please leverage our liaison program. So depending on where you are located, and through submitting the contact form, we'll have that high touch point. That's one of the things that we really value in Region 2 is providing that high touch engagement with you based on the liaison program. And we want to check in with you to support you from the pre-funding stage all the way through the wrap up that Jonathan talked about in his presentation. So we are definitely here to help. And to support you through every part of your project and want to be able to do that with you, Aaliyah, and everyone here. Shannon, I see your hand.
I just wanted to, for everybody that's left in the audience, can y'all give the Region 2 team a round of applause? Because keep in mind, we didn't have a program last year. They just started work in 2021, and they have done an amazing job to stand this program up and to start offering services, start awarding money out. And they've been working really hard. So just, kudos to them for rising to the occasion, moving beyond their comfort zone and just hustling and doing what they needed to do so that we could say that we have a Region 2 program. So for them, because they're working really hard and they hit the ground running, and they all didn't start at the same time, but they are, working very hard to move together as one cohesive team. And, I'm so proud of them, and they represent the Region 2 network well within the NNLM family. So give them a round of applause. And I better shut up now because my dogs see a person, they're going to start barking. So I just want to the team.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Really appreciate that. We've had some setbacks. There were some things with human subjects research, if you know about that. We've been primarily remote. We've had these different COVID strains. We operate out of a hospital right now because the library is going under renovation. We have had some shots fired. So we really appreciate that. And I appreciate the team, and I appreciate Shannon's leadership. It takes a village. So thank you all so much. With that, I want us to end early. Let's just take the time. Thank you for coming, later with us. We experimented to Shannon's question, Shannon Glover, about why we did it later. We know that we have folks across different time zones, so we wanted to pilot a different time. I appreciate everyone hanging in there. It's very late for a lot of folks. I think that we're going to get some data. I'm going to collaborate with Elizabeth as our data person to see what y'all want in terms of the time for these town halls. We're planning on having 2 more next year in our year 2 cycle. Our first town hall is really going to have a data focus with Elizabeth's insight. That's going to be probably around September or October of 2022. And then later in the year around this time, we are planning to have one that's more tech and innovation focused. We're also hoping to involve more of you as our members to also present during the town hall. So please be on the lookout for a call for you to be involved and to present, your ideas and questions moving forward. And with that, I would like us to close out 20 minutes early. Does that sound okay, Sarah?
Right on.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. This was great. We will send out the recording. And also for those of you who are current subawardees, next week we do have a reporting check-in. You should have gotten an email about that. It'll be on Zoom. We welcome your attendance at that meeting with me, Elizabeth, and Isaac. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for watching. This video was produced by the network of the National Library of Medicine. Select the circular channel icon to subscribe to our channel, or select a video thumbnail to watch another video from the channel.